All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone. Tom, could you please take the roll call, please?
Mayor King,
Present.
Councilmember at Large Austin,
Present.
Councilmember Baskin,
Present.
Councilmember Fisher,
Present.
Pashusta,
Present.
Kelly, Postma,
Present.
Baker.
Right here.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you, Tom. Item number 1 is a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 2 is a motion approving our minutes from our May 6th, 2024 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under item number 3, under recognitions and awards, we have Discover Austin Annual Report. Nancy Schnabel. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All our things at Discover Austin.
They are busy. So I'll give you a quick recap on how 2023 went and then give you some updates on what we're up to for 2024.
Sure.
I think most of you got the annual report in your file, so I'll run through that. Can you hear me now?
Gotcha.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so in 2023, it was a year of a lot of change. The World Health Organization finally declared at the end of COVID, which was great for us. India took over China and became the most populated country, and AI really kind of affected all of our lives. And so you'll see in the annual report, we kind of highlight what AI thinks about Austin when you ask it to describe Austin, Minnesota. So we've got some samples there. But then we also talk about when we're here, boots on the ground, what's really happening in Austin. Some of the new and fun events that happened in 2023, we started a Paint the Ice at Packer, just to kind of get the community into some of those facilities a little bit more. It was a great partnership with Austin Park and Rec and Austin Artwork Center. They provided the paint and Austin Park and Rec took care of the facility there. You've got a picture there that kind of shows all the creativity that the Austin community brought to that event, and then the next day the ice started to melt, and so it was a great use of that before it did. Another event that was at Packer Arena, new for 2023, was Beer, Bacon, and Beignet. It was an event that was a fundraiser for Life Mauer County, and for a first-time event, they had just shy of 300 people come through the door, and over 10 breweries from around the Midwest came and displayed there as well. So. Also for 2023, it was our first time hosting the American Junior Golf Association. That is actually a 3-year contract that will be here in Austin. The first year we had 21 states represented and 7 different countries come over to our community. You can see the economic impact that they brought there, so we are super excited to host them in 2024 as well as 2025. And then golf isn't the only sport that puts Austin on the map. We also have the Austin Bruins, and there's actually 5 players that have made it to the NHL. So we put up their pictures in Riverside Arena this year. Other things, we always go outside of Austin to try and promote Austin, to bring those visitors in. And so we were excited to partner with the John McGivern Main Street Show. They actually came to Austin in August of 2023 and did a bunch of filming for an entire week, and put a complete episode together, and that actually aired here in 2024. We held a premiere showing at the historic Paramount Theater, and it's 30 minutes of all sorts of Austin goodness. So it's a PBS show out of Wisconsin, and so they are actually airing it this year, and then it will be available for Iowa and Minnesota in 2025. So we actually kind of get 2 years of that free show that came to our community. You probably remember Petunia, the pink beetle that we wrapped to look like a pig. We sold her. She went out to pasture last year, so we started something new, and we have a pig mascot. The name is Chris P. Bacon, and so we go to all different shows and parades and that sort of thing with Chris. You see some pictures here that we promoted at the Chicago Travel Show, and we also went out to the Sioux Empire Vacation Show, and Chris's schedule is pretty full for the rest of the year as we go around with our little mascot promoting Austin. Some facts and figures. Our visitor guide, we had just shy of 3,000 that we mailed out to people that specifically requested. Just shy of 22,000 of them were on display, and they actually, at the end of the year, were requesting more because we only print 25,000, so we actually ran out of them. When they're on display, they're at like wayside rest areas, information stations throughout the state of Minnesota. And then we actually did about 3,000 welcome bags, and those are for visitors that are actually coming into our community for different conferences, groups, reunions, that sort of thing. So that's a nice way to distribute them as well. Motor coach groups that come through our office, we had about 90 of them this year. That is a 13% increase year over year. So those motor coaches are starting to come back after the pandemic. Most of those are seniors, so it took a little while for that to get back up and going again. We did have a 7% increase in the number of travelers that were on those motor coach groups, so we were over 2,500 with that. We are funded with lodging tax, and so you will see that our lodging tax actually decreased a little bit year over year. We attribute that to a change in brand, and they were lower on occupancy this year due to the reconstruction and remodel. And then our social media is still going strong, 7% increase on Facebook, 47% on YouTube. If you haven't been on our YouTube, we have different videos that we put on there for not only the attractions, but different events. And then Instagram was an 8% increase year over year. Tourism Matters, this is something that the state puts out. There's 172,000 jobs that are supported by tourism in the state of Minnesota. It's a 2.2 billion Minnesota state and local taxes generated, 22.8 billion state economic impact, and each household saves about $985 in tax savings because of tourism, according to the state of Minnesota. On the very last page, you will see our wonderful board of directors. So thank you to our liaison, Mr. Postma, as he is the city council liaison for our board. And then I also included the new 2024 visitor guide. You'll see that Austin is super shiny this year, and so something new that we tried. It's been very successful. We actually found out over the weekend that we did a lottery with the Mall of America, and not only did we win the lottery, we also got the premier spot. So if you are at the Mall of America, you can actually see the Austin Visitor Guide on display there as well. So something fun there. And then it's National Tourism Week, and so we rolled out with Be a Tourist in Your Own Hometown, a photo opportunity. If you go across the Paramount Kitty or across the street from B&J's, you will see an 8-foot Minnesota statue that you can take pictures of and submit it to us. So something fun.
Excellent.
Anybody have any questions about things we're doing, things that we have upcoming, anything like that?
What about the horseshoe tournament coming? Is
Yep,
that a
the horseshoe
national
tournament.
event?
Yep, that is a 2-year contract. They're coming to play horseshoes June 21st, 22nd, 23rd. We don't know all the different states because registration is still going on, but they will be at the horseshoe pits. I think there's 12 horseshoe pits out there. So that's a new event that will also be going on here in Austin. It is the same weekend as Llama-Palooza, which will be out at the Malheur County Fairgrounds. That also the same weekend, Hush is hosting a nationwide CrossFit thing that will be at Westcott Field. So that's also something going on in the community that weekend, as well as is National Skate Day. And so they are doing skateboard. We have a world-renowned skateboard artist that's coming down to help some of our youth design their own skateboards that weekend. So it'll be a busy weekend.
Excellent. Great work as usual, Nance.
Thank
You
you.
do a
Any other
ton of work.
questions?
Council, any questions?
Just a quick one. We, as a community, have not recovered as well as the state has, by any measure. I mean, what do you need? What do we need to do differently to at least get on the trend line with the state?
That's a great question, actually. So we're doing the best that we can with what we have. Right now, we are doing a lot of local promotions, just trying to catch those either staycations or people that can drive. The state is reaching out to more of the people that will fly in, and they're also going after a lot of the big conferences. We don't have the capacity to get to some of those, so we just kind of grab the lower hanging fruit with some of the conferences that we can host.
Okay.
Good. Thanks, Nance. Appreciate your efforts. Thanks for coming to us today.
Thank you. Really good work.
Moving on to item number 4 is a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under public hearing, we have item number 5 is a resolution reviewing a tax abatement application from New Horizon Homes LLC, looking for approval or denial of abatement. Craig?
Thank you, Mayor. Members, this is at 1306 18th Street Northeast in Nature's Ridge subdivision, a 3-bedroom with 2 possible added in the basement of what's proposed as unfinished basement. Estimated value is $425,900. This is in conformance with our adopted policy, and this is a public hearing.
Anybody here in the public that wishes to speak on this matter? If
Motion to
not, looking
approve.
for a motion.
Second.
Tom?
Councilmember Baskin.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Bashusta.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Postma.
Aye.
Baker.
You bet.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Next time, item number 6 is a resolution reviewing a tax abatement application for Housing and Redevelopment Authority of Austin. Looking for approval or denial of abatement. Craig?
Thank you, Mayor, members. This is the HRA and Riverland project for 2425. It's at 905 24th Avenue Northwest in the North Point subdivision. Estimated value of $350,000. It's in conformance with our policy, and this is a public hearing.
Anyone in the public or in the audience wishing to speak on this matter? If not, looking for resolution for item number 6.
So moved. Second.
Tom?
Councilmember Baskin.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Bashusta.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Postma.
Aye.
Baker.
Great project, you bet.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thanks, Thomas. Item number 7 under petitions and requests is a motion approving the 2023 audit report. Tom?
As was presented at the last council work session, Craig Popenhagen from Clifton Larson Allen presented the audit report for the city of Austin. Once again, we had a clean opinion, and we just request council approval on the audit report.
Very good. Thanks, Tom. Council, any questions? Comments? If not, looking for a motion for item number 7.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item number 8 is a resolution approving a senior deferral application. Tom?
We have a resident that has requested a deferred assessment for their street project. They qualify for the deferred assessment because of income levels, city ordinance and state statutes regarding qualifications for such. Again, we've informed the individual, just wanted to let them know that interest starts from day one until they sell it, so that it could add up. But they have, again, requested a deferment for their property at 214 15th Street Northwest. We'd recommend approval.
Thank you. Council, any questions for Mr. Dankert? If not, looking for a resolution for item number 8.
Moved.
Second.
Tom?
Councilmember Baskin.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Bashusta.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Postma.
Aye.
Baker.
Yep.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you, Tom. Item number 9 is a motion reviewing a fence appeal from Nick Schad on behalf of Schad Tracy Signs and Hormel Food Corporation. Holly?
Just a correction, that's a sign appeal.
Not a fence appeal, sure.
During the May 14th, 2024 meeting of the Austin Planning Commission, the commission reviewed a sign appeal to add 7 additional signs to the corporate north and corporate south Hormel food locations. 2 of the signs, 3 and 6, note listed in your backup, are replacements, and the remaining 5 signs are new. The signs average 8 square feet or less and are generally directional or provide generic information. The signs do include the Hormel name, and not all the signs are visible from the public right-of-way. Our code requires directional signs be 4 square feet or less without any advertising, and they must be visible from the public right-of-way. The sign code also limits the number of signs in these 2 zoning districts to 1 freestanding and 1 wall sign, and both locations have the maximum number of signs allowed, which was the reason for the sign appeal. After review, the Planning Commission, with 5 members present, recommended 5-0 approval of this request. The recommendation came from discussion of the impacts on neighborhood properties, public right-of-way, review of practical difficulties, reasonable of the petitioner's request, and then some findings that are listed below that. Do you have any questions?
Council, any questions for Holly?
Motion to approve the sign appeal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Tom?
Councilmember Baskin.
Abstain.
Fisher.
Aye.
Bashusta.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Postma.
Aye.
Baker.
You bet.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0 with 1 abstaining, Your Honor.
Thanks, Tom. Item number 10 is a motion reviewing a variance from Lance Pagonis on behalf of Turtle Creek Construction, looking for approval or denial of variance request. Holly?
At the same, excuse me, at the same planning commission meeting, the commission reviewed a request from Turtle Creek Construction for a variance from Austin City Code requiring a 12.5-foot corner yard setback in single-family residential districts. This property is located at 3000 15th Avenue Southwest. It is the corner lot part of a twin home that is planned for that particular spot. The applicant requested the variance of 3 feet to accommodate, again, the twin home, and that reduces the corner yard setback to 9.5 feet. At this meeting, the adjacent property owners attended the public hearing and they expressed support for the request. Again, the planning commission with 5 members present recommended unanimously to council to approve the variance. Planning Commission made findings that the requested variance is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the zoning code, that if granted would not alter the essential character of the locality in which the property is situated. There are circumstances unique to the property not created by the landowner, and that the landowner intends to use the land in a reasonable manner not permitted by the ordinance. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Holly. Council, any questions for Ms. Wallace?
I have a question. It's not actually about this specific request. I'm in support of it. What I'm wondering, Holly, is I'm hearing in the housing space that more and more contractors are pursuing twin homes because of the cost of construction to sort of try to keep things affordable. So are we doing anything proactively so that the next twin home that comes along is not going to run into something where they have to get a variance?
Well, it's interesting because this was, there was a conditional use permit that was passed in, I think, 2005, or maybe it was earlier. I'd have to look in the materials, but at the time they did do made an exception for the shared lot line, so it's a 0 lot line between the 2 houses. But they, in this conditional use permit, required that all other setbacks stay the same, so I'm not sure why that was. But then when there were 2 corner lots built later, they didn't meet the corner yard setback, but they were permitted. So I'm not sure what the intention was.
Okay, so you're saying this is a pretty unique circumstance and that in general, a contractor trying to build a twin home isn't
Yeah, I
going to
mean,
face
they
a
could've-
zoning barrier?
Yeah, this was, so the conditional use permit was for 28 units, so they could have probably dealt with all of that at the time, but I'm not sure why there wasn't I guess an exception at that time.
Okay,
So yeah, a unique situation.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Looking for a motion, item number 10.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item number 11 is a motion approving a donation to the Moore County Veterans Memorial. Craig?
Thank you, Mayor, members. Mike Ruzak presented a request. They have a $200,000 project to improve the memorial for veterans on Main Street. We at work session approved forwarding $10,000 to participate in that. Right now, our balance in contingency is $64,540. Original balance or budgeted amount was $107. That's when we don't include the employee engagement project on that, but otherwise looking for council approval.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12 is resolution approving a parking lot lease with Moore County. Craig?
Thank you, Mayor, members. The city is the proud owners of the Austin Daily Herald site. Mower County contacted us with interest in leasing that as they had from the Austin Daily Herald. Terms are outlined in the packet. Council action is requested.
Is it what, $950 a year?
Yes.
Looking for a resolution for approving our parking lot lease. Item number 12.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Tom?
Councilmember Baskin?
Aye.
Fisher?
Aye.
Pashusta?
Aye.
Helly?
Aye.
Postma?
Aye.
Baker?
Sure.
Councilmember at Large Austin?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you, Tom. Item number 13 is a resolution accepting these donations of the city of Austin, $362 from the Austin Area Foundation for the Dog Park Endowment, $2,000 from the American Legion Post 91 for disc golf and trees in Todd Park, and $200 from the Gloria Michaels family for the fire department after training dinner. With those donations in mind, I'd like to have a resolution accepting them.
So moved.
Second.
Tom?
Councilmember Baskin?
Aye.
Fisher?
Aye.
Pashusta?
Aye.
Helly?
Aye.
Postma?
Aye.
Baker?
Yep.
Councilmember Large Austin?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item number 14 is a series of motions for 3 properties, granting the Planning and Zoning Department the power to contract for removal of the junk and/or illegally stored vehicles at the following locations. 14A, the address is 2021 Fifth Avenue Northeast, Capital Home Improvements LLC property.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 14B, the address is 2115 Fifth Avenue Northeast, the Elliott property.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 14C, the address 1202 4th Street Southeast, the Athenat property.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to item number 15, Emerald Ash Borer presentation with no action required. Jason, welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. We have a brief presentation for you this evening. So quick background, we've about, 4 months ago, we formed a forestry team that includes myself, Jenna from AmeriCorps, Chris also from AmeriCorps, Luke Reese, our J.C. Hormel Nature Center Director, and Randy Hoffner, our Park Supervisor. So we meet, I think we started out trying to meet every 2 weeks, but everything is happening so quick. We pretty much meet weekly to talk all things Emerald Ash Borer and the devastation that has been occurring and that will continue unless we do something about it. So we've done this presentation. I think we had 3 community outreach meetings. The very first one was at the library. Oh no, that one was at the Nature Center, and we had over 40 residents show up for that presentation and learn about emerald ash borers. Our reason for this community outreach is we've developed kind of an initiative to treat now. So our concern is if there are ash trees in Austin this spring that are treatable, there is zero guarantee that they will be treatable 1 year from now next spring. So the city's being proactive with this, and we're asking residents as well. So we're giving them information to help them make these decisions. So we did 2 rounds of emerald ash borer treatment, RFPs. So we got a matching grant from the Hormel Foundation for $40,000, so a total of $80,000. First round, we went out with just over 300 trees. Our lowest bid was well within our budget. And so we have those trees starting to get treated, I think, early next week or later this week. You might see a news story or some information about what's happening with that. So then these 2 superheroes right here continue to find and identify more treatable ash trees. And so we went on a second round RFP for about just shy of 200 trees. So we just opened those bids last Friday. They came in even lower than the first round, probably because people saw what the first round went for and they wanted to undercut the bid. So going out to bid twice actually was a financial benefit to the city as well. So here we are, we're treating 500 trees. We have what we estimate is 2,000 ash trees on maintained city properties, so along pathways and parks that are mowed. This does not consider the kind of the forest areas out in the back of like Todd Park or along some of the rivers. We're not ignoring them, but we will address that. So 2,000 trees. So just by treating 500 trees, now we've brought that down to 1,500 that will need to be removed in the next, hopefully 4 years. 3 to 4 years, because these trees, when they become further infested by the emerald ash borer, they become brittle, they become a danger, and it happens fast. It's not like an oak tree that can be dead standing for 10 years. These go fast. So I guess I should say real quick, our next step is we are identifying, and I say we, identifying the most dangerous trees to remove, and we're coordinate with our parks crew. We're considering going out to bid on those trees as well. So you'll see more information about that in the next couple meetings. But I'm going to stop now. I'm going to turn it over to Jenna and Chris, the real superheroes in this room, and they'll buzz through this quick presentation for us.
Thank you. Jenna and Chris, welcome.
Thank you, guys. So just some quick introductions. My name is Chris. This is Jenna. We serve the city of Austin with the Parks and Recreation Department. We are funded through AmeriCorps, but we are in a branch called the Climate Impact Corps, and both of us are forestry community members. This is both of our second terms serving the city of Austin. So we've been here for a couple years now, and we are both certified Minnesota tree inspectors. So really quick, I'm just gonna walk through some basics. I'm sure many of you know what EAB is, you've heard of it, but just to get some general background knowledge, it's an invasive beetle that originated from Asia. Unfortunately, it's always fatal to our ash trees, which here in Austin, Minnesota, our native ash trees are black ash, white ash, and green ash. Black ash is what you're going to find in the forests up north. White and green are going to be what you see down here mostly. It was found in Minnesota in 2009 and has spread across pretty much the entire eastern half of the state. It's worked its way from the southeastern corner of Minnesota all the way up. I think they just confirmed it. Where was it?
I know it's in Cass County.
In Cass County, way up there. So a little bit about the life cycle. Female beetle finds a nice ash tree. It lands on the top leaves of the tree, munches a little bit, lays its eggs. The larvae hatch. They bore into the bark of the tree, and they tunnel into the outermost layers of the wood. And it is the larvae that actually are dangerous for the tree. They are what kill the tree. As they tunnel through the wood, anything above where they tunnel gets cut off from nutrients, water, that sort of thing. So they're effectively strangling the tree. And it starts at the top. The beetles will emerge from the wood, turn into adults, and they will stay in that same tree, and it will work its way down to the bottom. So most ash trees take an average of 5 to 7 years to succumb to it. And it is that continuous reinfestation that makes it fatal. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on signs of infestation because just drive down our boulevards and you'll see the state of what a lot of our trees look like. You're looking for what we call blonding, which is woodpecker damage. You can see some examples here on your screen, some lighter woodpecker damage where the bark is flecked off. It's lighter than the rest of the bark, and you're starting to see some wood exposed, and then you have some small woodpecker holes in there. This would be considered early stages. You'd see this in the uppermost branches, and then you get into the late stages, and it just looks like these trees have been like almost stripped, and it'll start looking pretty severe. Both of these were taken in Austin. The one where it's like completely ripped apart is at the Nature Center. And the other one was just taken from a boulevard here. I believe that's over by Eastside Lake. Like Jason said, ash trees are really dangerous when they die. The wood dries out, and when it becomes really desiccated, it's extremely brittle. And not only is it dangerous for the people around it because it's a fall hazard, it's more dangerous for tree care companies to remove. It's an added liability, and they charge according to that. Ideally, we really want to be proactive and not let trees die on our boulevard. I'm going to hand it off to my cohort, Jenna.
So this is approximately where we're at on the EAB death curve. You can see as the number of dead trees go up around town, our management options are lessening. These are a couple examples again of dangerous ash trees on boulevards around town. We just took these photos today when we were out surveying. So you can see that they're in close proximity to houses, to cars, to property that could be damaged by these boulevard trees. These are some other examples that have that are just dead standing ash trees. You can see on the one on the left with the crack down the middle, that tree isn't going to be able to support itself for very long. So the longer it stands, the more chance for it to fall on something and damage property. And those are just some more examples around town of pictures we took today. Statistics of ash trees, like Jason mentioned, city property, we have a little over 2,000 ash trees. And that means 1 in 5 trees on public property is an ash tree. So that's a huge portion of our urban canopy that we are potentially losing. When we talk about options, treatment is a great option if the tree is healthy enough to be treated. Like we showed you in the examples, a lot of these trees can no longer be treated when they're so damaged that much bark is exposed. The EAB has really done a lot of damage to that tree, and that makes the treatment less effective because it can no longer transport that treatment through the tree. So emamectin benzoate is the treatment that is the most effective. It doesn't do a ton of damage to pesticides because it's systemic. It needs to be repeated every 2 years, but it is only available for trees that look healthy. And trees that look healthy this year are not likely to look healthy next year just because of the rapid decline that we're seeing. You may have noticed pink marks around town on trees. Those are marks that Chris and I put on trees that look treatable. We have almost 500 trees that we are hoping to treat, like Jason said. So you'll see those pink marks around town. Removal is another option, and maybe the only option if trees are severely damaged. The unfortunate thing about removal is that the more damage there is to the tree, the more dangerous it is to remove because it's so brittle, and that makes it more expensive to remove. So these trees can become extremely costly to remove. Replanting, just to touch on, it's really important that with all these removals, we consider what we're replanting with. We saw in the pie chart back here that almost 40% of our canopy is maple. It's a really popular tree. It's a really beautiful tree, but once we lose all that ash, the majority of our canopy is going to become maple. And the more maples we plant, the more risk for losing those maples if another pest comes in that specifically attacks maple trees. So it's important to plant things that are not maple just to diversify the urban canopy. I think Jason touched on what the city is doing. I don't know if you have any other comments.
Just maybe to add, we don't want it to sound like we're ignoring the replanting, but right now our focus is on what you're hearing tonight for a few reasons. We are still experiencing drought, although this spring it does not feel that way. But we got to handle the live trees right now that are dying before we really focus on replanting. So once we get behind this curve, we're going to switch gears 100% towards replanting. One thing we're doing that you'll see this fall a little bit more, part of our community outreach is encouraging homeowners to purchase trees and plant them, because right now the city doesn't have the staff or resources to plant trees and water them and care for them in large numbers. So we're encouraging residents to plant trees because they can come home from work and they can put water down and they can care for these trees. So we're definitely not ignoring it. And I don't know, Jenna, if you want to mention the bare root trees in the gravel beds, that might kind of be of interest to council as well.
Yeah, so the city, I feel like Chris knows more about the gravel bed. Chris can talk about the gravel bed.
Okay. So the city within the city, we have 2 gravel beds. Gravel beds are pretty much just raised garden beds filled with pea gravel. And you might not think that's a great substrate for trees, but there's a lot of research from the U of M, which was a big pioneer in these, where you take these bare root trees, which are much cheaper and easier to handle than your typical like potted tree you see at a nursery, and you put them in this bed of gravel, and you keep it moist, and you just let it sit through the growing season. And then when you pull it out in the fall or when you want to plant it, it has grown all of these really great fine roots, which is the roots you really want. It'll have a really extensive root system, and that gives it a greater chance of survival. So it is a cost-saving measure a lot of municipalities will take to, that way they can purchase cheaper stock, and it also gives them the opportunity to have time to plan where they're going to put these trees. They can get them all in the spring, put them in their gravel bed, and then in the fall, they will know where they're all going to go instead of having them all come in the spring and needing to plant them then and there.
Jason, quick follow-up on that. So when you're encouraging folks to purchase trees, is that to put on like city boulevards and right-of-ways? And if so, should they contact somebody to let them know that they're doing that?
That's a very good question. No, right now we are encouraging residents to plant trees on their properties.
Okay.
Going back to the boulevard trees and even park trees, you know, there's so much to this ash tree thing that we're like, you know, taking the initial steps that need to be addressed now. But around the bend, we've talked about kind of like an adopt a park program, adopt a tree. So maybe there's a homeowner that will adopt a boulevard tree when we start replanting. We plant them in there, and we talked about some way to mark or have a GIS map layer of all the trees that are adopted. So we know which trees a resident says, hey, we'll water it, you know, and maybe we supply the water bags for them, so they only have to water once a week. That's a little bit down the road, but yes, I want to certainly confirm that what we are asking now is not necessarily plant on boulevards or city properties or right-of-ways, but rather on private residents.
I just want to expand on what Jason said, in that the adopt a boulevard tree idea is underway. We put out watering bags on all of the trees that were planted the previous year. And with this year, when we put out watering bags, we have door hangers that will go on, informing residents of what it is, how they can fill it. And hopefully those will be circulating within the next few weeks. Right now, I'm just waiting for a translation for a Spanish version.
Excellent. Thank you. Great presentation. Appreciate the education. Jenna or Chris, do you know, is there a special care or protocol to, once you remove the tree, what do you do with it to not have it spread?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So Austin is what the Department of Ag would call generally infested, in that there's this, if you look at a map, EAB map, there's like this green line around the city of Austin, which means pretty much it's everywhere in the city. If you talk to the Department of Ag, they're gonna say, if you want to keep your wood, you're more than welcome, as long as it's staying within the quarantine boundaries. I don't have a picture of the map offhand, but best practices would say to not transport it. The city does mill some of our ash logs, and that is completely safe. It's going to a location just south of the city, I believe, and in that milling process, the bark is stripped off, and the infested part is stripped off, and then the wood that's milled is completely safe. If you burn your wood, that's safe. If you want to turn it into mulch, nothing's gonna survive the wood chipper. That's also a good option.
Thank you.
Are there any financial assistance options for homeowners out there? I imagine that's, the cost is what's preventing a lot of this from happening.
There is a round of grants that's coming due, I think, August. We're going to be really busy with grants this summer. We're just waiting for some of the announcements. But there was a grant that a town or northern Minneapolis received last year. It was a large grant. It was like $7 million, maybe $8, that someone from our team identified. Actually, I think it was Patty that might have noticed it in the newspaper. This grant is to help support residents with lower income as well as with disabilities. So we are looking at that. We have to prioritize where our focus is going to be on grant funding, but that is on our radar to look at that grant on a much smaller scale than what they did in northern Minneapolis.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Council, any more questions for Jenna, Chris, or Dave?
Just a note of thanks, I had a young constituent reach out from Pacelli on a science project, wanted to know what would be a good thing in the city, and I gave him like 3 ideas. Ashmore was one. He's like, great, who do I talk to about Ashmore? And I knew just who to send him to because Jenna had presented to Rotary, so thank you for helping him.
Yeah, I got his email at 10 p.m. last night.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the education.
Thank you. Nice job, guys. Thank you.
Moving on to citizens addressing the council. Are there anybody in the audience wishing to present something, talk to the city council? Seeing none, hearing none. Moving on to Miguel, it's his last day as honorary council member. Miguel, comments?
Thank you for the opportunity to be part of the City Hall member. That was a very good experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Miguel was the first honorary council member that asked to stay on longer. He wanted to be indefinite, but we got folks lined up behind him, so his time has come. So thank you for all your efforts and spending time with us, Miguel.
You can always fill out paperwork in the next couple of days and come hang out with us for 4 years if you want to.
Yes, indeed.
There's that option.
Under reports and recommendations, Craig, anything?
Yeah, we're still trying to sort out the dust at the legislature, but understand the $350,000 for wastewater operator education in cooperation with Riverland was in the bills and on the way to the governor's signature. Appreciate Brenda Johnson with Southeast Minnesota League of Municipalities and others that helped with that. And otherwise, Mr. Lang has a couple items.
Stephen.
Yes, first I'd like to congratulate Mike Laux for his promotion to street superintendent. Mike has worked for the city for 9 years as the sewer foreman, and today was his first day serving essentially right now as a dual role, but his new position as street superintendent will oversee the sewer department, which was his old role, the street department, as well as our fleet maintenance crew. So I just wanted to congratulate Mike Laux on that promotion. And then also wanted to give council an update on the I-90 bridges in that beginning next week after Memorial Day, you will start to see some additional cones and preparation beginning for the Cedar River Bridge work. The eastbound Cedar River Bridge is planned to begin construction in early June. So traffic on I-90 will be head-to-head traffic on the westbound lanes. So eastbound traffic will be moved over at the crossovers. This has a potential to have some impact on some of our eastbound off-ramps. The westbound off-ramps will all stay open, but some of the eastbound off-ramps, because that eastbound traffic is being moved to the north, some of those ramps will be closed. So again, you'll start to see some of that preparation beginning next week. And then I believe the 31st of May, next Friday, is the planned date there or soon after for the actual switchover of traffic and the head-to-head traffic. That will continue through Austin, likely through about the end of October. I think it's about a 5-month construction window for this eastbound Cedar River Bridge. They also plan some maintenance on the 6th Street overpass as well as part of this. That is all I have.
Stephen, can I ask you a question about that? Last year, MnDOT had a disastrous and very deadly year on 35 near Faribault. And one of the things they did this year in the similar area is they put rumble strips on the freeway, I think 3 staggered sets as you merged into the side-by-side traffic in one lane. Are we going to do the rumble strips here, or is it a different situation on 90?
Traffic volume on I-90 is about 20,000 vehicles per day. It's much more on 35 north, but all it takes is one distracted driver for something to happen. So traffic volumes aren't necessarily a strong indicator. I'd have to check, though, to see if they're going to do the same level on our stretch of I-90 as what they are currently doing
Would you
up around
please?
Faribault, and report back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Anybody else have anything, Craig?
No.
All right. On to city council. Joyce? Anything to report?
We had a great time at the Taste of Nations on Saturday. There was great food, good turnout. Weather was windy but beautiful. So kudos to everybody who planned that and attended it and worked at it. Good job. That's all I have.
Thanks, Joyce. Paul?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Jason?
Couple quick things. One is we had the DCA annual meeting last week. A lot of really good momentum around economic development. A lot of people working really hard, both in the short term with businesses like New Tech and other businesses that are either in town expanding or coming to town, and then some really good opportunities long term, thinking about farm and some of the things and implications there. So we should feel really good about the work that's taking place there. And then secondly, I did have the opportunity to present at a national conference last week on the work that Austin's doing to build a welcoming community. So on the panel, it was myself and council members from New York City, Colorado Springs, and Maine. And we should feel really, really good about the work that we're doing. I think we were probably the only city that actually had like a proactive, intentional, strategic plan for what we were doing versus just saying, oh my gosh, this is a huge issue. We're not sure what to do. And so we know we've got a lot of work to do. We know that, there's a lot of people working on it, but we should continue to be really, really proud about the national model that we've built here. So
Excellent. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate the time on that first. Jeff?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Jeff?
Spent last Saturday morning with a couple council members, and Steve was there with getting a quick tour of some parks from Park and Rec folks. A couple big takeaways for me, which I'm sure will be different than some other folks, but one, I found Jason to be a breath of fresh air in that job. And I'll leave it at that. Well done, brother. Well done. Second, I got to tell you, I was very shocked at how much repair work we have to do on our parks. We spend a lot of time as a council talking about, next steps and strategic plans for next shiny, cool things. And I think Jason and his staff really pointed out, hey, we've got some just basic blocking and tackling maintenance to do. And I think we gotta think pretty hard about that as we're coming into a budget cycle, and these are long-term decisions. I think we got some hard decisions to make about how many parks we keep. We have entirely too much, by any stretch of the imagination, entirely too much parkland in our city. And what are we going to do about that? Because it's expensive, and it's good, and it's bad, but again, by any reasonable measure, we have too much. I will tell you, this Saturday, I was in Minneapolis in the park system, and the no-mow May is not good for Austin. So whoever made the decision to keep mowing in May, God love you, because it's a disaster in the no-mow areas. So thank you for your time on Saturday. I thought it was time well spent.
Right on. Thanks, Jeff. Mike?
I'll echo Councilman Baker's thoughts on just the great tour. Appreciate Randy and Jason's time kind of taking us through there, and really was eye-opening. You know, we all know there's areas in every one of the city budgets that we'd love to have a little bit of extra funding to put towards, to do some things differently or whatever. There's just some flat-out things that we've really gonna have to take a look at this budget cycle as far as short, medium, and long-term replacement costs, deferred maintenance. You know, Jason has a lot of expertise as to, you know, pointing out things where, and honestly, in previous states, he's like, this would not be allowed or legal anymore. So, you know, we've gotten good use out of a lot of our park systems, but some of the structures and things are literally from the 50s and 60s. So that's something that we're definitely gonna have to take a look at. Also wanna just say that I was pleased to see some of the promotional opportunities for our staff to step into leadership roles through the sewer and streets. And it's just great to see that we have good quality internal candidates ready to step into those roles, and they're opening up roles that other staff will hopefully be able to step into. So just excited to see that and appreciate everybody's work on that.
Thanks, Mike. Laura?
I'm gonna shock everyone by agreeing with Councilmember Baker that,
Well, then I must be wrong.
we do have too many acres of parkland. We have more than we can take care of, and we have a tremendously dedicated staff that's been trying to make it work for decades. And I think hard decisions are gonna come, but I think Jason is ready to lead us through that process. And we talked about, as part of the upcoming master plan, having maybe a list of sort of future phase-out parks, and then being very thoughtful about what is the phase-out, because I don't think just putting a for sale sign and hoping someone on the private market is gonna cut it. I think it's gonna be a chance for us to get creative about what else do we need in Austin? Is this a place for new affordable housing? Is this a place for some other community amenity? So, I think that will be something coming up that you'll see from Park and Rec, and I think it's been a long time coming. This department absorbed a lot of acres in flood mitigation, but they didn't absorb a corresponding budget increase to maintain it. So those chickens are coming home to roost, so to speak. The other thing I want to mention is Fourth Avenue Fest is coming up on Wednesday, June 5th. It's at Horace Austin Park. Between 5 and 8, there will be ongoing activities, including Open Swim.
I think the question is whether our pool will be open and operational. So a quick update on the pool. Major kudos to our staff and this city for creating partnerships and a teamwork effort. So the council allocated funding to sandblast and fix and repaint this pool the right way. Just let's start over and get this done right. So in order to do so, in between weather and storms, you know, Stephen Lang offered, I think, 3 or 4 streets employees to help our parks crew. We bought more rollers, more buckets, more stuff, thinking more people could get more done in a short period of time without bumping into each other. So they actually finished sandblasting last week, and we started caulking on a Saturday, because caulking is a kind of an art, and it's got to be done right. And then started painting Monday. So Thursday of this week, we finished painting the main pool. So that means 1 week cure time. So it actually puts us ahead 4 days, because now starting next Friday, we can actually start filling the pool or cleaning it out. Whereas if we wouldn't been completed till this last Friday, then we would have had to wait till Saturday and then Sunday and then Monday being a holiday. So this puts us way ahead. So 1 week cure time. In the meantime, this week we are putting up the lifeguard stands. We're putting up the canopies and we are filling I think we already filled the top or the splash pad. There's like a reservoir underground there. We're going to fill the kiddie pool this week. We're going to fill the dive well this week, early this week. And I'm sorry. Yes, those this week, because they were not painted and they don't need to wait for cure time. So come next week, we'll start filling the main pool, and it takes 2 full days to fill and then a few more days to stabilize the chemicals, I think we're on par, because now weather doesn't matter as much as it did during the painting. So we should be open at our targeted date, June 3rd, which is a Monday, which means we'll be open for free swimming for 4th Ave Fest. So pretty confident, haven't gave the green light 100%, because once we get the pool full, we have to fire up the boilers. We installed a new boiler this year. We need to make sure the motors are connected the right direction. The electrician has to be there when we fire it up. So, long as we don't run into anything else once we fill the pools, we should be good to go.
Next time I'm gonna specify, brief answer, will the pool be ready or not? And you can go with, we don't know yet. We're still learning how to interact. Back to 4th Avenue Fest. Probably, if we're lucky, free open swim. Even if there's no free open swim, there's gonna be canoe and kayak rides in Mill Pond, a photo booth, 9 food trucks, lawn games, e-bikes, fire truck to explore art making, sign up for summer reading at the library, plus a live music stage with Somerset Theater, West African dance, Karenni dance, and the headliner is Siama's Congo Roots. It's a Minneapolis-based act that plays Congolese music, and it's aimed at families and is also the kind of thing where the kids can go up on stage and play the various percussion instruments and really get into it. So a little bit of a different focus to really get families and younger kids enjoying the stage. 4th Avenue Fest is a joint effort across many different community partners that's convened by the Culture and Arts Commission, and it is funded with a small amount of tax dollars, but also support from the Austin Area Foundation, the Cedar River Watershed District, Impact Austin, and others. So mark your calendars, plan to come June 5th, keep your fingers crossed for the pool. It sounds like it's on track, and it'll be a great night. We go rain or shine.
Thank you, Laura. In closing, I'd just like to acknowledge our 8 employees that have May work anniversaries, and they are Jeff McCormick with the police, has got 28 years of service. Marie Ree with the fire department has 22 years. Tim Olson with the fire department has 17 years. Neil Gergen, streets and central garage, 12 years. Patty Hamilton, park recreation and forestry, 11 years. Aaron Yanger for the police has got 9 years already. Kurt Schmidt, sewer maintenance, 7 years. Dan Vujicic, wastewater treatment plant, 5 years. So we appreciate our dedicated employees. I know they do a ton of work, and just want to recognize those May work anniversaries. And with that, take a motion to adjourn